Good day, Brutal Planet listeners. This is Eric Peterson, quarantining from Salt Lake City. And today I have the honor to be joined by Mr. Jorn Lande. How are you doing today, Jorn?
I'm doing great for the circumstances.
Yes.
Lockdown here in Norway, like most places right now, at least here in Europe, we have a problem with this new virus. So everything is more strict and But for the circumstances, doing pretty well, writing music and doing stuff around the house, which I never got to do before. So I see it from the positive side. And now that they started with the vaccine, all over the world, it's hopefully there's an end to it at some point. If it's not completely coming back to what was before, at least somewhat closer to something we can, relate to.
Exactly.
No, it's all good. Really. I miss playing live and stuff, but that's the same for all artists and bands, I guess. To go out there and just to go out for a beer and talk to people.
Yeah, exactly.
Now they don't even serve alcohol in this country. It's all shut down, and and we're not even allowed across the border to Sweden right now. So that's kind of like a challenge if you have like me and my wife, we have a house in the south of Sweden, so we can't go there, and so you worry a bit about that, but hopefully it won't last for more than 2-3 more months, and then we can go. So
well, you recently got to kind of play live on the EUROVISIon Song Contest, right?
Yeah, that was interesting. I was asked, many times over the years to do stuff on TV and to participate on certain shows and programs, and and I always said no. It was either because I was touring, or just couldn't do it, or I had to make a priority. A list on what I had time to do or wanted to do, but now everything stopped. So when I was approached with this, I just thought nothing happens anyway in January, February, and I was asked to participate as myself or with my own music, and then I thought that was that made it easier to say yes. Also, I think the world today, is kind of different than like 10-20 years ago, even, because I think we are more we're more flexible now. We're multitasking more than ever. Maybe too much, but I think this is because of development with technology, internet, competition. Everything has changed, so I think we're more open now to do things. I mean, we've seen that in the pandemic too. I mean, when you're forced to think in different terms, you just have to adapt to what's happening, and even if you want to sit on your, like a lot of people want to sit on their high horses and protect their image or their whatever legacy. It's at some point you just have to realize that I just gotta be the guy who grew up in that little town, and I just gotta be down to earth and forget about the rest. So I think that's what happened to a lot of artists the last year, and we've seen that on YouTube too. People, reporting from home and or trying to make money from whatever posts they do, or please subscribe thing. That is of course that started several years ago, but I think it's kind of extreme now because everyone had to look for an alternative to do something. So you both communicate with your fans at the same time. You have a chance to, to have some income from that. I saw everyone doing this, so I thought, what should I do? Like play from home or put the band together and do something? But then everyone did it, and then I thought, I'd rather just, maybe do a music video or put something up every now and then. So I'm not the guy who just sits in the couch and plays all the time and, posts videos. So I guess we're all a bit different there. But I'm not, scared of doing that or anything, because a lot of people ask me if I would do that because they would love to hear something or,
So how did the song contest go for you? I mean, I watched some of the other artists on there, and it seemed like you were the only rock or /metal guy on there.
No, I mean, we did the part final thing, and we were voted out of that, and, which I wasn't really like that disappointed, but we were a bit surprised because the song was really good, and the song was also appreciated a lot by a lot of people outside the rock and metal scene. So, then I thought after like a week, then a lot of things happened. It kind of exploded with the press and everything, and the song ended up on playlists and in rotation, both around Europe and here in Scandinavia. So it has become a hit. The song,
it has.
So that's kind of like, so we were voted out, but the song became a hit. So then it's like, where does this that makes sense? So in that way, it was like a gift that we were voted out.
Yeah.
But we still have a chance to get back in tomorrow, actually, which is on the 15th, where they will do another TV show with all the artists that were voted out.
Oh, okay.
And then one of those will win and go to the final.
Oh, okay.
So I still have a chance to with my guys to go to the finals. So that's so we'll see. I mean, tomorrow a lot of people. I mean, since this song was so popular now. And always on the radio every day, and which is I'm really grateful for that. It was really cool, and to get rock out there to the people in that sense, because I mean the ESC thing, it's not just MGP as it's called in Norway. It's the whole ESC movement all over the world. So it's and I never really studied that or read much about it, so I mean we're always in our own little rock metal bubble or whatever, but now I realize how big this kind of thing is, how huge, and so many people are. I mean, I've been doing interviews almost every day. I've been traveling to Oslo every second day, doing radio stuff and TV stuff, news stuff, national TV and radio. So it's kind of not what you're used to doing when you're into rock and metal. Usually you're a worker and you have to, do it the hard way, but it kind of just came for free, just this one show on TV, and then everything happened in the next couple of weeks, and the song is a hit. So what better launch for a new Jorn single? So that song really made a difference in my career, actually. I'm sure I'm going to look back at that, regardless of what happens tomorrow, whether we go to the finals or not. It's really cool that this song really did so well on its own.
So tell us a little bit about the song itself. It's called Faith, Bloody Faith. What's the song about?
Well, it's an overview on the world. It's on people. It's very kind of it's kind of abstract, but it's still something that we can all relate to. We're all following the leaders. We're with a flock of sheep and all that, but then there's still hope in there in the lyrics, and also frustration and everything. So it's kind of like a lyric that talks about life, seen from a bird's perspective, kind of, so looking down at Earth and mankind, and So everything existential stuff, basically. So
would you say this is a possibility for an opening for a new Jorn album?
Well, I already wrote a lot of songs for that, so I got like 30 ideas which are more or less worked on. Of those, there's probably like 12, 14 songs that's pretty much ready to be recorded. It's this song will probably, Faith, Bloody Faith will be on the album, but it will be as an album version, because of the ESC rules.
Oh, okay.
We had to remove the guitar solo, stuff like that. It had to be maximum 3 minutes, and I'm talking 3 minutes sharp.
Yeah.
If you're like 3:02, you might be disqualified in this competition. So in that sense, some people might say, "Oh, this is a sellout." It's like how could you do that? But actually, the song is so flexible in a way. The song is still a good song, regardless. If you take away the guitar solo, if you shorten it down. I would love to hear a longer intro. Love to include the solo there, and there's another part in the song which we thought about having, which we couldn't have. But I'm thinking for the album version, we can include everything, and so you have a version that's a little bit heavier and not as polished in the way it's produced and mixed. So that's the plan. So
it's a great way to get the Jorn name out there. I mean, being on that show is great, because there's probably people who have never heard you, even in your own areas in Scandinavia, but now they have been introduced to you. It opens a whole new door for them.
Well, it does in the mainstream. Mainstream area, if you call it that. Among all the people that don't usually listen to or normally listen to rock and metal, it's great, because what I did was always some kind of crossover. If you look at or consider the style, even though it was always within rock and metal, it was sometimes very commercial in that sense, and melodic. So I could do some harder stuff, some darker stuff, but then there would always be like a record or a song that could easily be good for radio or more mainstream audience. So I'm very happy about that, to get a chance to present that to a broader audience. I think the metal scene in general has also been a bit narrow and small for me. Not that I don't appreciate it, but it's also the fact that if you're really focused on one more metal formula, you kind of decide from that point on, whether you're young, starting a band or whatever, you decide that I'm doing this for the metal fans and the rock fans, and that's it. You're not going to cross over to all the other people easily. Maybe people will hear about you if you become some bands became like Maiden. People that don't like Maiden, they still know Iron Maiden, the name, but might not know the songs, but So, but I was never that kind of guy, and I never thought about creating this concept that would be this one thing that would target metal and rock only. So I was always like a hybrid. I grew up with a lot of great music, in the 70s, with all the styles. It was all connected somehow. If you were like if you had a pop song on the radio, the band would still be a rock band. It was bass, drums, guitars, and vocals. And if you had any keyboard things or whatever happening, then it would still be quite organic. It would be either organ or some Moogs or some old 70s synthesizers that would still. It was still. It's just you would just be there to color the band, kind of. So, and that's why you don't have the same gap between harder rock and pop music in the 70s. Like today, when everything is more obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to an old Kate Bush song, if you listen to Babushka by Kate Bush, it has a great drum. There's a really cool rock drummer playing on that song. Has some really cool guitar fills here and there. It's very cool. So, and we saw this also in the 70s West Coast rock music. A lot of songs that were commercial and they would be played on the radio, but it was the Toto formula, like Hold the Line, for example. It had like a rock recipe to begin with. So I think a lot of songs of the 70s had that rock thing going, even if it wasn't necessarily heavy or hard rock. So I guess that's why I always like to go a bit beyond the typical darker metal and
So how about
it's a curse and a blessing, because of course if you label if you have a label that's mostly focused on metal and harder rock, it would be. You have a problem because they're not going to sell you to the mainstream market, of course. But you can't get everything. So, but maybe we will when we get older. If you stay true to what you do and you find a good way of balancing your work, and of course always being creative and putting down some hard labor, then in the end, you'll be this guy who. It's like it's accepted that this guy Jorn, wow, I know he does some darker metal stuff, and he also does the more melodic stuff. So I don't see the problem, and also the world has opened up much more now, and it's more accepted. We see this with festivals too. I mean, there used to be like black metal festivals. There used to be AOR festivals, and then there would be like all things would be separated. Now everything is a mishmash. It's all in the same festival, and this is not something that's been around for like a long time. It's just the last maybe 10, 15 years or so.
What about any of your other projects? Have you been doing anything with Avantasia, or they now that things...
I've been talking to some of the guys there, and to Toby, and of course it's obvious when everyone's home and not able to travel and do stuff, and it's obvious that everyone's trying to write new stuff and make plans for another record, and so I think it's quite obvious that there will be another Avantasia album. If I'm going to be on it or not, I don't know, but it depends on where we are in time and what we do. But I'm sure that Toby would love for most of the people that have been on board for the last 10 years or 5 to be to join and to do the next record, and then maybe some shows after that. So, but I don't know like anything about any schedule right now. But like I said, this is probably in the works something. I know Toby that he's probably in his dungeons right now. And trying to come up with new stuff, and like the rest of us, family stuff, private stuff, and then you hide away to do some music.
Do you have any other collaborations going on with anybody or anything right now, or just?
Well, I'm doing a couple of, or I'm doing some stuff for the new Jorn album, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
And but I have another thing which I can't talk about right now because it's not official yet, and I had to zip it up. So it's so I'm busy basically.
Good. Good.
It's good. It's all good. I mean, I'm working as much as before, but except playing live, which was a significant part of what I did. But like I said, we scale down a little bit with things. We adjust, and you make less money from what you do, but you just find a different way of doing things, and you start working on a record which you weren't supposed to do till maybe 1 year from now or so, and then you start earlier with that, and
So my most important question for you is: have you connected with Kate Bush for a collaboration yet?
No, I haven't. Well, I would love to do that, but I think she kind of just moved out of the business, and I don't know her personally. So, but based on what I know, she's not really that keen on like rock and metal music either. But no, I mean, we are. I mean, even though I've been around for a long time, it's still like we're the young ones still to these guys. It's like in rock and metal. When we look at Black Sabbath or Judas Priest or whatever, these guys are the veterans, and even my age, I am like I'm a youngster.
Yeah,
which is good.
Well, I think it's fair. I mean, every time we chat, I throw it out to the universe. If Kate Bush happens to be listening to this, Jorn would love to collaborate with you, and I'm going to do it again because you never know. One day, somebody that knows her might be listening, and she might just say, "Yeah, I'd like to do that."
Yeah, you never know. I mean, but that's the same with we all have like fans that I get a lot of requests from fans who would love to collaborate or do something, and in most cases I have to say no, not because I don't like what they're doing, but just because you don't have the energy or the time, or you're under contract, and you're allowed to do certain things or whatever. So and some stuff is not. I mean, some stuff is really good quality stuff, but sometimes you've been there, done that, and it's not where you want to go with your music or your direction right now. So, I mean, if you have success with something, and then 10, 20 years later, there's a lot of new generations that would love to do that style with you. Then it's like, I used to do that style a long time ago, and I still like it, but it's kind of not what I'm doing anymore. It's because I've been there, done that. So, and of course, you have the urge to do new things that you didn't get to do.
Yeah.
That's, for example, why I started doing some of those covers. When you talked about Kate Bush, when we did like Running Up That Hill, for example, and made it Jorn style, or we put a Jorn style approach to it. Then it was an idea I've had for a long time, and never got to do. So it's funny because sometimes because you did one cover or you made one record in your career with the covers or something, it's like people assume sometimes that that's what you do. Oh, you're most famous for doing the covers, but they forgot all the 40 albums or 50 that you've done.
Exactly.
Which were like mostly original music. So, but in my case, it's I never really did that many cover songs, to be honest. I not compared to how many original records I've done, with various things in my life. So it's just a good time now, and the next few years to work on a new original album. Then in between, maybe do like one cover album, and then have this kind of flow on and off with that. Then I get to do some of my favorite songs, and it's also a plan because I grew up with a lot of great singers that I took a lot of inspiration from, and it's obvious if you're stuck in a more bluesy, heavy rock environment musically, or the power metal environment, symphonic metal. If you're stuck in that, and you're keeping busy, time flies and you never get to really do those songs that you love. And so I'm getting to the point now where I also like to try to do some of these crooner covers that I grew up with. We're not necessarily talking about crooners from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I'm talking about stuff from singers that I looked up to, like Rod Stewart or Cliff Richard or John Farnham from Australia, or Tom Jones. These type of singers, which many of them came from the rock world, and they were associated with rock from the beginning, and then especially Rod Stewart, but then evolving to do more like a crooner thing. So and there's a lot of great songs I grew up with, which I would love to hear with heavy guitars and do it Jorn style. So. So I have a plan doing that, and I'm thinking this heavy rock radio concept I started a few years ago should have another record again. So to continue with number 3, maybe a number 4. That's something I'm considering, and
nice.
Maybe make it even more defined in the sense that before I was mixing a lot of songs. Maybe I should do some some hits maybe on one record, stuff like that, make it even more commercial, but still heavy rock.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate it, and everybody go pick up the single, and it's a great single, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot.